So it begins, the transition from our winter sewing projects, knitting, and other crafting projects that I like to do over the winter. And we have our first tray of seed starting mix moistened and ready to plant seeds. So let me give you a little story about what we're going to do for this spring and summer. Hey there, peppers. Lynn here, just for the health of it. I could give you a video on how to start seeds, but I've done that before, and there are lots of videos on YouTube about how to start seeds. I'm going to give you some thought processes and background as to what I'm starting and why. That way, hopefully, this can help you kind of go through some of that thought process yourself and question, everybody grows tomatoes. Do you like to eat tomatoes? Do you like to preserve tomatoes? What are you going to do with all that excess tomatoes? So let's go through some of these thought processes and give you ideas of what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to bring you into the computer, and I know you're not going to really be able to see this, but I just kind of want to talk through this a little bit. I have two spreadsheets. This is the spreadsheet of everything I grew last year, how much it produced in pounds, and how I preserved it. So did I can tomato sauce, tomato juice, apple pie filling, blueberry jam, etc., etc. And I have gone through my pantry, and I know of all of these things that I produced, how much I've eaten. So now, granted, most food preservation is done kind of in September, October time frame, and that means like November, December, January, February-ish. We're only 4 months, which is 1/3. Yeah, 1/3 of a year. So even though it seems like we're getting ready to start seeds and stuff, I've still got 8 months of eating on that pantry and the food preservation I put up for last year. So I've kind of done some math and some thinking. What were my favorite items? What items do I really, really want again? What do I need to grow for those items? What items, were nice, but am I really going to want a whole bunch of them again? I don't know. So I kind of did that analysis of what I really grew, what I really ate, and what I want to get put up and grown for next year. Now, my other spreadsheet here is for a special project. My niece, my oldest niece, is getting married this summer, and I told her I would grow a bunch of flowers. So I have 67 different flowers on this spreadsheet, and I have information in here like how far before the first frost or the last frost date do they need to be planted, do they need light to germinate, do they need to be soaked overnight, just a lot of little notes, and when I need to plant those out. So I sorted it by the date that I needed to start those seeds, and you can see this little section that I've highlighted, I need to get those started this week. So that's what this is for. I tried to be a little organized. I made some labels up ahead, and I have these labeled by kind of groups as to when they need to be started and where. All right, so let's talk about my food preservation as I kind of get some of these planted. I was very fortunate to have a very large 30-year-old apple tree on the property. That apple was planted before I bought the property, so it's at least 30 years old, and it produced a lot last year. I'm not sure why, because I kind of was frustrated with it one day last spring, and I just started cutting so many branches off, and maybe that's why it produced. I just whacked at it. Like, I brutally cut that tree up off of my lawn so I could walk under it, back so it wasn't shading everything. So that might have been why it produced so much. Now, I gave a bunch away to the neighbors. I also preserved applesauce, apple butter, strawberry applesauce, apple juice, and kind of a sliced apples intended not as a pie filling, but I really like apple crisp. So intended to just, be topped with some oatmeal and brown sugar and butter and thrown in the oven for a nice apple crisp. There's no way. And I gave a lot of applesauce and apple butter away and apple juice. Yeah, my 6-year-old niece, she loves the applesauce and apple juice. And me and the puppers. I mean, I give the puppers the applesauce. They love it as a little dessert treat. And I've got apples coming out of my ears. So, of course, I'm not planting apples, but I need to think about what I'm going to do with all that. I definitely don't need to preserve as many apples. Okay, the other thing I have, and I would have said that I eat a lot of tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce. I didn't season mine. I just left it plain tomato so I could kind of do, did I want to make it more Mexican, more Italian flavored? And I would have said that I eat a lot of tomato sauce. I feel like I ate a lot of pasta. I made a lot of my own pasta from the chicken eggs. I feel like I eat a lot of pasta or a lot of, like tacos, kind of enchiladas, which I use my tomato sauce, season it with cumin and other things like that to make it south of the border, right? I've got more tomato sauce than I definitely need. So, I am going to grow tomatoes, but I'm going to actually limit my tomatoes this year because I'm going to be so focused on growing flowers that I'm not going to grow as many tomatoes. I'm going to grow a couple cherry tomatoes for snacking, and I'm going to have probably only like 4 Roma style tomatoes, just so that I still put up some tomato sauce or salsa, but I don't need as much as I produced last year. And then there's that goes into like the salsa. I'm not going to eat through all my salsa. So I'll still make some, but when you can your own food, it really is good for probably 2 or more years. I mean, they say 2, but the food's not going to go bad at that 2-year point. So, but I definitely am going to adjust my salsa. Now, the one thing that I did love is my salsa verde, which last year was my first year growing tomatillos. So I wasn't sure how much I was going to love that. And I did kind of like a pre-paired meal in a jar type thing where you can shredded chicken with your salsa verde. So it's like a nice chicken salsa verde. You can heat it up, throw it in a tortilla, heat it up, throw it over rice, eat it as is, in a lot of different ways, but it's like already prepared in the jar, shelf stable, no freezer, not taking up fridge space, nothing like that. And I loved that. So I am going to grow 3, 4. I grew 2 tomatillos last year. I'm going to grow 4 this year. Put up a little extra salsa verde. Make some meals in a jars because I really like that. All right, let's see. What do we got going here? I'm losing my mind is what I'm losing. What are you doing? Huh? No, that's just big trouble for you. That is not a litter box. Oh, 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 oh. Hi, everybody. I'm a little one. I'm a little one. I'm a little one. I'm a little one. Okay. Now, let's see here. Okay. Beans. Beans was another thing. Oh my gosh. I canned a lot of beans. 23 pints. And I canned a lot of my stuff in pints because it's really just me. So I was thinking, you know, stuff that was sized more for one meal. I like to cook and then have like 2 meals as leftovers. So like I cook for dinner, then my lunch and dinner the next day, or dinners for the next 2 days are the same. And then after that, I get tired of the food. My green beans, I loved, loved, loved. And I did a test. I canned them and I did freeze some. And honestly, the frozen ones, I didn't care for as much. I felt like the cell structure broke down more than the intense canning process, which is crazy. But I really liked the canned ones. And I canned them full length, and then I canned them more bite-sized, and I love the bite-sized ones. Oh, okay. So sugar snap peas. Everybody knows Freya and I love snacking on sugar snap peas all spring and early summer. I have never grown shelling peas. So sugar snap peas, you eat the pod and all, fresh off the vine, yummy, yummy. You can use them like in a saute or stir fry kind of thing. I never have. I just eat them raw. Shelling peas are the kind that you think about, like you shell them out of the pod, and you can freeze them as peas or can them as peas. And I am going to try adding peas to my food preservation this year. So that'll be something new I've never grown before, and we are going to add that to the mix this year. I am like struggling here. Yeah. Not for you. Not for you, little girl. Oh, that looks fun, huh? She's hit the wild teenage stage. No. Nope, I don't want you in there. Nope. 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 You are only going to get in trouble there, little one. All right. Let's talk peppers. Hot peppers and sweet peppers. I feel like I always grow so many peppers and I feel like I never have enough. Last year, I would say I struggled with the size of my peppers, especially the sweet bell pepper types. They never seemed to grow to full size. Now, I ended up with a lot of small ones, and I still diced those up, and I froze them, but I went through those fast. I mean, by the time you fry up a couple of potatoes and some eggs and add your, bell peppers and onions, I go through them really fast. And also my hot peppers. I pickled some, and I dried some. And the dried ones I've been using kind of as a paprika almost. So if I make tacos, I have some of my dried peppers that I've ground into, like a paprika. And some I've left more as flakes. So I've gone through over half of those. So I do need more of the spicy peppers too. I'm not sure how I'm going to accomplish that or where I'm going to put those in the garden. I still kind of need to think about it. I feel like the peppers here do better when they're in kind of a partial shade so that they're still getting our 100-degree summers, but they're not baking in the sun all day long. So I've got to think about where I'm going to put those. And where I'm going to put this little one. I got to think about where I'm going to put this little one. Kevian, you're a hell child. What else did I grow? Okay. Potatoes. Oh my gosh. Again, I would have thought that I ate a lot of potatoes. Like, I love fried potatoes. The little cubed, not the shredded. Fried potatoes. I think that's how my mom always made them when we were little. And I love them. But maybe I just don't eat as much as I think I do generally. I don't know. But I definitely ended up with more potatoes than I needed. And I had a few different varieties. The dark red Norland. I liked the flavor of those, but they are not storage potatoes. Like within a month, they were already trying to sprout and grow in a dark, cold room. So that was not good. These little pelleted seeds are kind of gold. Anyways, distraction. So I'm not actually gonna grow many potatoes. The German butterball are by far my most favorite. However, hang on. Okay, light's required for germination. They don't store that well, so I might try canning potatoes. And I froze some for like hash browns, but I'm going to try canning them. And canning potatoes is pretty much useful for creating mashed potatoes in the end, but I'm okay with that. I mean, if I could just dump a jar and heat it up and mash it in like a few minutes, I'm okay with that. And the Yukon Gold, of course, you know, kind of the gold standard, if you will, they definitely were the best for storing long term. They're still all firm. They're not really sprouting or growing from the eyes too much at this point, but they're not my most favorite flavor. So I should know pretty soon, you know, because once you plant potatoes, you're always going to have potatoes. I mean, there's no way you get all of the little tiny ones dug up, and they will grow back year after year. So I'm going to have to see what comes up and what I really want to plant for potatoes. Pumpkins. I only grew Sugar Baby last year, and I struggled with the deer. The deer loved the young pumpkins because I actually received some pumpkin seeds for my birthday from my brother, and I planted those out, and I had like 6 plants growing, and the deer ate them right off the top. But I did manage to produce some Sugar Baby pumpkins, and I love baking with pumpkin. So I made, it sounds crazy, but it's so good. It's a pumpkin chocolate chip cookie, pumpkin bread, pumpkin muffins. I give the dogs pumpkin puree. So I just roast the pumpkins, cut them in half, roast them in the oven, and end up with puree. I'll do a whole bunch at once and then freeze the puree like in 1 cup or 2 cup bags. That way pumpkins are staying on the shelf for long-term storage, but when I fire up the oven, I will get a whole bunch processed and then just have some in the freezer as I want it for baking. And I would say I had 5 plants. That's probably about the amount, because the Sugar Babies are more of a personal sized pumpkin anyways, but that was actually a pretty good amount. I think that's about what I need. Now this year I'll probably try some different varieties of pumpkin, and maybe even just more for decoration, because I think that the Sugar Baby and the 5 plants is about perfect for my needs. All right, so then it kind of leaves us with a bunch of things like radish, carrots, strawberries, blueberries, all of the things that we really just ate through fresh. Now, the strawberries, I had a limited number of plants when I came here to this property last spring, and that is basically what we ate from. I froze maybe 2 pints, which I ended up making muffins out of, or I put a little bit in with the applesauce when I made strawberry applesauce. I feel like I could have a million strawberry plants and it wouldn't be enough. I did collect runners off of 2 kinds of my strawberry plants, the Whoppers and the Seascape. So by collecting all of those runners and getting those rooted and planted up, which I just rooted in water, not soil, not pots, nothing. I cut them all off and put them in basically a flat of water. If they survived, yay, they were strong enough for me. So yeah, I probably quadrupled the strawberries. The blueberries, I have 3 very mature plants, and I have 3 immature plants. So I'm hoping that I'm doubling my blueberries this year. Let's hope. And then things like radish and carrots, I just kind of, and lettuce. I mean, I didn't even weigh or count that really in my plans of last year. But that's the kind of stuff I just, every 2 weeks I go out and plant some more seeds. Me and the puppers really love just eating those raw right out of the garden all year long. I thought that I would pickle some radishes, but they never got that far. Um, so onions and celery. I had a great start with onions. Like, I started my seed in December, which is really what is best for this area. We have long day onions. And I have been successful growing them from seed, not seed onions, but true seeds. And I've been very successful with that in the past. And last year, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it got too hot too fast. I'm not sure if my expectation of harvesting them earlier than they should have been. But the onions I suffered with. So I did buy a large bulk of onions from local farmers, and I froze those, and I also made like a balsamic onion jam. So this year I already have a whole bunch of onions started under the grow lights, and a whole bunch of celery. So hopefully I will have a better year this year with my onion and celery harvest. All right. So I know if you watched my seed haul, probably November or December timeline, I bought a lot of stuff like artichoke and some other things that I wanted to try for the first time. But the reality is, I think with the wedding flowers and the possibility of my house being built this summer, I decided I was going to keep the food gardening more simple and just what I really, really know I need and will eat. So yeah, I'm going to get these last couple of flowers planted up for Emily's wedding garden. And hopefully you get outside and plant something just for your health of it. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.